because eviction is going to cost you $150 in legal fees plus court costs and whatever. It's going to cost you like $450, $500, $600 it's going to cost you. So you need enough money to cover that. What's up, guys? So thank God we don't have any COVID evictions. That is today's topic. How have I been able to go through without having to evict any tenants during this epidemic? So how do I not have any evictions? We have 35 units. I own 35 units right now and no evictions. So how is that possible, right? My like vacancy ratio is like 2%, and that's only because when someone moves out, we'll clean it up a little bit and then get it ready for the next tenant. So we have a very low vacancy ratio. Back in 2008, when the market tanked, my vacancy ratio was like 30-something%. Out of the 23 units I owned, 8 were empty. So it was bad. It was really rough times. Now my vacancy ratio is like 2%. But how am I in this scenario? So I'm going to give you a couple of tricks. So how do I do this? So first thing that I do is I have Section 8 tenants. So Section 8 tenants. Section 8 is a program by the government where the government pays a large percentage of a tenant's rent. They don't have enough money to pay all of their bills, so the government pays a section, the tenant pays a section. If the tenant doesn't pay their portion, if the tenant doesn't take care of the property, they can be evicted and they can lose their Section 8 voucher. So normally, you get good tenants, normally. Now, I'll tell you this, it doesn't matter where the person's money comes from. If you are interviewing someone to rent your property and they don't have a good attitude, or they just give you a bad vibe, it's probably not a good idea to rent to them. It doesn't matter where the money's coming from. In the past, when I was younger, I would think some money is better than no money. And I learned no money is better than some money. Because even though you're getting money, you're losing time and opportunity and frustration. So remember, it doesn't matter where the money's coming from. Just make sure they're a good tenant. So now, Section 8. A lot of my Section 8 tenants are actually retired individuals. Older ladies, older guys, handicapped. So they're normally very clean and quiet. So they're great tenants, great people. They just happen to have bad things happen in their life. So the government's helping them, with their financial situation. Great tenants, great opportunity, Section 8. That is one of the tenants that were one of the reasons why I don't have any evictions because of COVID. 1. 2 is I rent to a lot of retired. A lot of retired people rent in the areas that I buy properties. I buy in downtown cores. So in a downtown core, there's a lot of people that are retired at age 55, 65. They're healthy, they have some money, and they just want to enjoy their life. Those people have pensions and retirement accounts. They're paying their bills. They're paying their rent. COVID doesn't affect them because they're not working. So that's another reason why I'm having no issues with collecting rent. Okay? The other section that I'm in, normally the tenants I'm interviewing, I'm making sure they're good tenants. So either way, remember, it doesn't matter where their money's coming from. You want to make sure that you're renting to people and you're putting in a good scenario, like making sure that they're the type of people that you want at your property. So I've been very picky on the last few people I'm going to move into my cottages. And I was basically saying, I want to make sure that I'm picky on who goes in there, because if you get a person with a bad attitude, bad energy, if you get the wrong person in your property, especially if you have like a number of units there, they can actually be like a mold, like mold on bread. It just like messes up the whole thing. It messes up the whole energy of the community. So I rented out. I had a 7-unit property, one of my best properties, and I rented it to 2 different people. Those 2 people were constantly thinking about ways to game the system and game me and to just cause problems. I did everything they ever wanted, provided them everything they needed, but no matter what I did, they constantly try to find problems and issues and just constantly were stirring the pot. Other tenants were telling me about how bad they were, and the good tenants were leaving because of the bad tenants. So I ended up having to evict half of the people just to clear up this property. The two people that were the troublemakers, and then there was about 3 people that were good, and then there's 2 people in the middle that the second they see that there's trouble, they'll end up joining the troublemaker side, because if they could benefit, then why not? They're going to join their side. So I ended up evicting 4 out of the 7 people and just clearing house. And once they saw me evict those 2, the other people were starting to realize, wow, Pascal's not playing. And they got their act together, they changed, they started acting normal and being like good tenants again, and it resolved the issue. So sometimes you have to put your foot down. But then again, no matter where the money's coming from, make sure that you're renting to good people. All right, so Section 8 tenants, retired tenants. The last part is I'm renting to people that can more than afford the rent. So the last one is I have the 3X rule. Your income has to be more than, I like a lot of basic rules, very simple rules. Your income has to be 3 times rent. 3X rent equals income. So rent has to be less than 3 times or equal to income. Okay? So let me repeat that. Rent must be less than, or their income must be greater than 3 times rent. If rent is $1,000 a month, they need to make more than $3,000 a month. If the rent is $1,500, they need to make more than $4,500 a month for them to take my property. If they don't, I charge an extra deposit amount. So normally I'll charge first plus security. Okay, so if the rent's $1,000, I'll charge $1K plus $1K. If their income is not greater than 3 times the rent, so if the rent is $1,000 and they don't make $3,000 a month, I'll say, okay, I'll let you in, but you have to pay last another $1,000 up front. You have to pay me $3,000 up front to move in. What that shows me is, yeah, the guy's not making a lot of money, but the guy is good at saving money and managing his money. I'll let him in. Let's just say the person had mistakes in the past and they had an eviction. I'll still let you in. Plus another security deposit of $1,000. So yeah, you make $3,000 a month. My rent's $1,000 a month. You need $4,000 to move in if you don't make enough money and you had an eviction on your record. I'm willing to give you a chance, but I cannot take a risk. I want to help you, but I can't take the risk. Now, if you do that, the risk is reduced. Because if the person doesn't pay the rent, then you start the eviction process. You get $1,000 to fix the place up, $2,000 to fix the place up, and $1,000 in the month you lost while you're doing the eviction. Because eviction is going to cost you $150 in legal fees plus court costs and whatever it's going to cost you, like $450, $500, $600 it's going to cost you. So you need enough money to cover that, because if you just spent $500, that just killed some of your income. So again, you cannot, keep all problems from happening, but you can prepare. I got a comment here that says, I don't believe you can legally ask for extra security deposit though. It depends what state you're in. Again, I'm giving you my experience from my state and from my area. You need to do research and talk to your local lawyer regarding your tenant laws. Okay? If you're in New York, Chicago, LA, California, you probably can't do this. New Jersey, you probably can't do this because they're very tenant friendly. not landlord. But I'm in Florida, Texas, Arizona. They're more landlord friendly, so the laws are in their favor. So you got to do your research, okay? Toronto is also very tenant friendly, so you might not be able to do that. All right, so most people that I rent to are making a considerable amount of money. If they are retired, a lot of them will pay a large portion up front. That way, so like in my coastal cottages, the 16 unit, I have many people that paid for the full year up front. They made 1 year of rent up front, 6 months of rent up front. Many people. So it's nice.